Welcome to the Football Guys Dynasty Show. It's me, your favorite professional nerd, Jagger May. And with me, as always, is our Dynasty captain, Jeff Bell. And we have Mike Cash. We are doing our Dynasty trade show. So if you got any trades that you want to do for next week, if you want to brag and show how much better they are than your friends, leave those comments, hit the like, and subscribe. CeeDee Lamb, RIP to the season, kind of, sort of.
Whoa.
Fake footballs over on Blue Sky. He sent DJ Moore and Joe Mixon, received CeeDee Lamb. What side of this trade are you on? We'll start with you, Mike.
Yeah, I think a rebuild. This is very easily CeeDee Lamb. I think a middle of the road team that you're worried about how you're going to do in the playoffs. This is CeeDee Lamb. If you're competing, you're going for a title. I get it. Titles are forever. So if they win the championship, I will say it's the Joe Mixon side. But otherwise, I think CeeDee Lamb is still a top 3 dynasty wide receiver, if not top 4, and we should treat him accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Mixon sure is hot right now. DJ Moore, not so much, but he's kind of made a bounce back. Jeff, where are you with this?
This is where I'm my own worst enemy, because you talk about being a contender. I mean, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb 10 times out of 10, regardless of if I'm a contender or not. I'll figure out later. Anytime that I can flip this, 2 older guys that, I mean, Mixon was borderline dead in dynasty value at the start of the season, and DJ Moore had some, but prior to last year, he was dead. And CeeDee Lamb was the number 1 wide receiver in dynasty for many people, and he just kind of had an off year, and now Dak Prescott's hurt. I'm going to do that 10 times out of 10. And even if I am trying to go for a title, I end up trying to figure it out later, but that's the bug light for me, where I know I shouldn't touch this. I'm still going to touch it.
Yeah, it's CD for me. I know there's someone out there like Cowboys ain't nothing until they get rid of Dak Prescott. But I just think we're being really silly. And I think there might be a different coach there. And let's put it this way, Mike McCarthy's garbage and CeeDee Lamb still is productive. So I just think, hey, maybe he's just a great player and he's fine. And you should just go get winners. And like you said, Joe Mixon is fine, but DJ Moore's 29 now. You are just getting younger and consolidating to a player who is talented and can win you weeks. So
DJ Moore has been in the league for approximately 35 years, and he's still 27.
What?
Correct.
And the wide receiver 1 over the last 2 weeks since they fired Shane Waldron. So
DJ Moore,
high 16 targets.
He was drafted out of middle school. They just took him out. He was 13 years old.
He's got that Amari Cooper in him, because you're like, the same thing with Josh Jacobs. Everyone's like, Josh Jacobs is 1,000 years old. I was like, I think he's 26, man. Yeah. Oh man, we are funny and we play a funny game. Go out and get CD, folks, because folks, it's desperation time, and you take advantage of those people. Next one we got is old Patty Mahomes. Greg, I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly, Mongiello over on Blue Sky. He sold Jalen Hurts and received Patrick Mahomes and a first. This kind of seems like a slam dunk. I like some Jalen Hurts. I like the rushing upside, but I love me some first. And Patrick Mahomes is insulated value, and he does have upside. Slam dunk. Am I right, Jeff?
Yeah, I think so. If I can get a first too, I mean, you're losing 3 points per game, and Adam Harstad is very, very smart, and he tries to instill in me the value of 3 points per week. I am an idiot, and I will gladly flip Hurts and take a first and just live with Mahomes.
Yep. There's a couple of ways that this works out. Jalen Hurts doesn't score as much as Mahomes, and then you get Mahomes and a free first. Jalen Hurts scores more than Mahomes, and it doesn't matter, and you get a free first. Or they score the same, and you get a free first. So it's moving in the same tier or around the same tier, and getting a first on top is slam dunk.
Optionality, guys. Not everything's black and white. Yeah, man, if I'm getting Patrick Mahomes for that, I got a Josh Allen burning a hole in my pocket. Just I would just straight up do that at that point. It just seems really easy. And it's and I get it. I guess it's 3 points, but let's give Patrick Mahomes his due. If if the Chiefs knew how to draft wide receivers at this point, Patrick Mahomes would still probably be putting up 28 points per game. But unfortunately, they got a lot of that Bill Belichick in them. So
Yeah, and let's not pretend that Mahomes doesn't have the potential of any week of going out and throwing for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. And I mean, that is always in play with him.
it's over. He's too old now, Jeff. He's too old. Do you want the
They
younger
don't want to
thing?
play. They don't want to play that way. The Chiefs do not want to score points. They are trying to win football games without scoring points.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They want to win it every time by a ref call. Every single time.
Either
You
an
guys,
Isaiah likely toe, a random ref call. They're 10-1, but they could be 1-10, just as easy.
I saw that ref lead the game, and then there's a tweet that said it's like devastating loss for the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's tough. That's tough.
As being a Pats fan, it's so weird seeing it happen to somebody else because they were just like you guys should have lost, and I'm like, no, we shouldn't have. And then I see it, I'm like, man, this kind of sucks.
It's like the I don't know. Did you guys watch the Georgia Tech game? When
some of it, yeah.
When Haynes King, when the safety from Georgia comes in with the crown of his helmet, just plants it right on Haynes King, and it's like the most obvious targeting you've ever seen. And then you see the social media, that's not targeting. He didn't hit him in the face mask, like, and it was like, dude, he like led with the crown of his helmet. Like, what are you? Like, it's not going to overturn the call to admit on social media that it was targeting.
I'm surprised there wasn't a laser beam. It was so targeted, like it didn't have like a laser dot scope on. To quickly play some bills, guys. I already asked you to like, subscribe, but do it again just because you love us. And we are a website. We are a full-blown company with content. So you can go to footballguys.com/plans. Sign up where you can read stuff as well. If people still do that out there, we have articles. We're going to have our rookie guide. Mike's going to be writing for us soon. Jeff writes a lot. I write some. footballguys.com/plans. Moving on. Deebo Samuel. Is it Jover? Dennis, also known as D Mike Media over on Twitter. He received Deebo Samuel and a 5th, which is nothing. Just don't have 5th round picks, guys, unless you're doing IDP. No. Just do waivers. It doesn't matter. Like, cool, you drafted Dylan Lobby. And he sent a 2025 second, a 26th third, and a 26th fourth to get Samuel. Do you think this is appropriate?
Yes. I mean, short answer, yes. Long answer, Christian McCaffrey just went down. So Deebo Samuel's going to get way more involved in the passing game and the short area work. He might take some snaps at running back. Ayuk is dead. Juwan Jennings is a great player and serves more on that outside role. Like, they're going to have to get him more involved. And even if they're packing it in for the year, Deebo is still going to be a fairly useful flex option. So I think if you're using him to send a title run, like, go for it.
Jeff?
I agree. I concur. No, I think it's fine. I mean, a late second for. I mean, we all know Deebo Samuel's not lived up to our expectations this year. I think if you need flip a late second for him to add him onto a playoff contending roster and we talk a lot about 10 to 11 like starters in your league and deep flexes, those types of things. I mean, Samuel can be a difference maker in 1 week in the playoffs, and that's really what you're trying to build right now as a contender.
What do you think of the future for him, though? You've already said that you don't think he's going to be a 49er. Where do you think he's going to go at that point? And do you think he's going to get the same usage? Because I'm not saying that Deebo isn't a good player, but I think the 49ers definitely get the best out of him.
I agree with that. I do not think he's going to be a 49er. I haven't quite figured out where I think he's going to be. I think that there are elements of his game that might be fun for the Detroit Lions to add, and that mentality might be a Dan Campbell type of a thing. I think that if Chris Godwin is no longer a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, that they might be looking for maybe a player that can work underneath. That might be a Deebo Samuel. I think that I expect a lot of movement out of the wide receivers this offseason, and I'll say it as I don't expect him to be a 49er, and I don't think his future team is very clear right now.
Can I throw out the Denver Broncos?
Sure. Throw out anybody you want to throw
Actually,
out.
yeah. Actually,
they're
yeah.
hurting for somebody that can go underneath. Bo Nix, we make fun of his ADOT. Like, yes, he is capable as a deep passer, but like he's very accurate in the short and intermediate area, and that's not a bad thing. So like, get him a guy like Deebo. Let Sean Payton cook up some fun stuff. I think that would be a great fit. So he'll probably go somewhere else.
It actually makes a lot of sense because they have that Joker role, and Deebo would be perfect for that. And I mean, to be honest, Bo Nix, the Broncos might be just a desirable landing spot. They already have a really good defense, and that offense just a few pieces away. When you got a young QB, I think they might open the pocket. Jeff, that looked like excited you a little bit.
What about Saints? That could be another one where
They have
Don't.
negative $40 million. They would need to quite literally cut their entire roster.
Teams figure things out.
The math on that doesn't work, and also I refuse to give weapons to Derek Carr because it just makes me sad.
Doesn't work because I've seen where the math doesn't work and it still works.
Yes, but
if they do another season like this, I'm gonna lose it. I'm not even a Saints fan. Blow it up, guys. If you go and get Deebo,
not gonna blow.
I'm gonna scream. They're not gonna do it. You don't. Who's gonna go in and coach that team then? And
I don't know.
The Rizzler, Dan Rizzi.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway.
Now that I've ruined Jagger's mood for the rest of the show.
It's like when you bring up the Saints, and I'm like, they shouldn't be bringing in any free agent that's over 25 years old at this point. I feel like, all right, we got a Dalton Kincaid trade. I need to go and get him because I think we're getting a little bit silly. We're getting real silly. Buddy FFF Mad Dog, also known as Dane. He traded Cortland Sutton, a 25 second and a 25 third, received Kincaid. Now that Sutton's kind of doing something that feels a little light. I don't know. Dare I say it? Jeff, you're the Bills fan.
This was the one where, like, ordinarily I would be like, oh, slam the Kincaid. Man, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Sutton's been pretty solid. He's been top 12-ish wide receiver for the last month plus. And you look at that offense with Bo Nix, he is the clear and obvious number one receiver there. He's maybe not quite as old as some people think potentially, and you're able to add a second and a third on top of it. I mean, if Dalton Kincaid is injured, doesn't do anything the rest of this year, are you able to turn around and just flip that second and third for Dalton Kincaid straight up and get a free Cortland Sutton at some point? I mean,
yeah. I feel like one of those picks are on the wrong side.
Yeah.
I just want to know when the idea of Dalton Kincaid is going to match up with fantasy points. Like, he's super cool in theory. Like, love the idea. Good vibes. He's at 8.2 fantasy points. He is behind Jake Ferguson, not playing with Dak Prescott. He's only 0.3 points ahead of Isaiah Likely, who hasn't done anything since week 3.
He's got a touchdown, Mike. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, that's great. He's behind Cole Kmet, Pat Fryermuth. Kyle Pitts is outscoring him, and everybody hates Kyle Pitts, so who's also younger than Dalton Kincaid. So maybe just, I don't know, maybe the wish is over.
I don't know, man. It's like, I get what you're saying, but like I also see where Jeff says like a lot of these things just haven't connected, and there's a lot of meat on the bone, and there's just the only thing that scares me is there's a lot of good tight ends coming in now, but tight ends are also, again, like I say, they're like more complicated running backs where landing spot and usage is everything. So me getting someone who's attached to a good quarterback right now, and I could see usage, I think is worth the gamble. And especially if you don't like have a QB right now, would you move Jonnu Smith to get Dalton Kincaid, or would you rather just hold on to Jonnu Smith right now, Jeff?
Wow,
that's so mean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm an OG Jonnu truther, so that's really hard for me. But I mean, if I'm trying to win, I mean, I would want to pick back. I wouldn't do it straight up. I would want at least a third, if not a second, on top of Jonnu Smith to flip Dalton Kincaid. Otherwise, I'll just go down with the ship and hope that Dalton Kincaid turns it around.
Noted. Which one do you want, Mike? Would you want Jonnu plus, or do you want the Kincaid?
I was hoping you would just move on because I don't want to answer this question and have it on the internet forever. I think I want Jonnu plus. Like, if you can get Jonnu in a second, for sure. If it's Jonnu or Kincaid straight up, like, I'm thinking about it. I'm more uncomfortable thinking about it than I'd like to be. So
I know I had I'm in a double tight end Devy league, and it's my first Devy league ever. So naturally, I botched it, and you're like screwed for years like
Yep.
that. So like someone was offering me like, "Well, I want Johnny Smith." I'm like, "I bet you do, bud." You know. So he's like offered me like a Devy second, and I was like, "Dude, I bought Johnu 3 years ago. He's finally paying off." So I was like, "You can have Hunter Henry, but like Johnu's mine." You know, he's the boyfriend that I fixed, and now I want to use it. You don't get to have him now.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we all owe Arthur Smith an apology. Like, maybe using Johnny Smith was a good decision.
What I tell people is that you're mad at Jonnu Smith because he was a Patriot.
Yeah.
Really think that over. The Patriots sucked a long time because Bill Belichick didn't care. All right, we got one.
I think it's tough. And this is probably one of my biggest concerns on Kincaid, and the reason why Jonnu Smith is working and at the highest end, why Brock Bowers is working. I think that for fantasy, you need these tight ends that can create after the catch. And I'm not entirely sure Dalton Kincaid is there. I think Jonnu Smith is excellent at creating after the catch, and he's just finally gotten to the right environment. Miami opens up so much for him in the middle of the field, is able to get him the ball and allow him to work after the catch. I think for a fantasy tight end, that's the biggest thing with Travis Kelce over his career. His ability, it's really underrated. He's essentially been a slot receiver, but he can catch the ball, and he's not bullying over guys, but he makes himself small. He's able to get like these creases and pick up these extra yards here and there. And I think that that's really what you need for an elite fantasy tight end.
I agree. Like I've moved him, Johnny Smith, up to like my top 12 at Dynasty. I think he's fine. I think Mike McDaniel liked him. He said he liked him for all the reasons you said. He's like, I think he's the best guy ever.
Yeah.
And
that's why I don't
really
like Jake Ferguson, because I feel like Jake Ferguson's waiting to fall down when he catches the ball.
Yep.
It is, man. It's the Cowboys, their one talent is drafting the same tight end every year. Because like when Luke Schoonmaker went out there, I was like, oh, I couldn't even tell the difference between him, Jake Ferguson, and Dalton Schultz. It's honestly good for them because it works for that offense. I don't think they need much more, and you know what to expect. But they're that meme with like the same shirt every year with the. I'm wondering who they're going to get now. I think it's a. Let's look at these tight ends here. Who's going to be the next? Dalton Schultz, Jake Brenningstool seems ready.
That sounds
for it.
right. That sounds good. And you know what? People are going to rank him as a top 6 dynasty tight end after he has like 3 good games as a rookie, and then when his contract's up, he's going to fade into the mist.
Yeah, Gunnar Helm, put him on Cowboys watch for the next Dalton Schultz. So, our last trade is a T. Higgins and a Johnny Smith trade. Spacenfeld, that's a fun name. I think this is a blue sky one. He received T. Higgins in a 2025 second, sends DeAndre Hopkins, Jonnu Smith, and a 2025 first. I kind of want the Jonnu side. Let me see if he gave me some context for this. Mike, we'll start with you. Which side of this do you like?
That first better be late. Otherwise, I really like the first side. I think the first is probably the best piece in the deal. I think T. Higgins is a solid wide receiver too, but it's another one of those guys. Like, the idea of T. Higgins is much more enticing than what T. Higgins has been for fantasy. D-Hop and Jonnu are scoring you points now. T could shut it down with the Bengals out of the playoff race. Like, they're already talking about mock drafts in Cincinnati. So let me just go get Jonnu in a first and enjoy the points.
Yeah, it's a half point premium, tight end premium. The first is late. And then the second is mid. I don't know if that helps anybody. What about you, Jeff? Where you at?
Yeah, I mean, trying to trade like the 10th or 11th or 12th pick in the draft for like the 16th pick in the draft to upgrade DeAndre Hopkins and Jonnu Smith is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to do constantly. That is one of the things that I really enjoy doing, is like, let me slide back 4 picks in the draft, and optically it will look like I'm giving you a first and getting a second, but in reality I'm moving back out of a tier that I don't want to pick in anyways, and I'm getting T. Higgins for a couple guys that are producing temporarily right now. I mean, if it's your second and you're trading for DeAndre Hopkins, that should better be late. And so if it's the guy that is receiving the second saying it's mid, I'm betting the guy that's trading the second thinks he's going to win the league. And so that could be a late second. And that's when you start to step into, okay, if I'm trading the 22nd pick in the draft, then maybe I would rather just have the immediate production and the first for T. Higgins.
Yeah. Can we have a larger discussion? Like, it seems like the assets that are moving in this trade, it's like almost like a mismatch. If you're trying to rebuild, you're trying to get the first, but then you're also getting crusty old D-Hop and then Jonnu Smith, the 29-year-old yak tight end. Like, if you're trying to, it doesn't make sense where these things are aligned.
Who's telling the story? So who's telling the story of telling you that they're getting a mid-second? Because like I said, it's probably the person that sent the first that assumes they're going to win the league, and that's going to be the 112. And the person that traded that second probably thinks they're going to win the league, and that's going to be the 212 that you're trading out.
All right, I'm going to squeeze in one more trade, guys, because this is intriguing. And we were talking about silliness, and I'm sorry, I know you both got to go to bed. Steve Molina. He received Jatavian Sanders in a second and sent Mark Andrews. Which side of this do you want?
Mark Andrews, if I'm going to win the league, or if I'm trying to win the league.
Yeah. I think this is a very good deal for a like rebuild versus competing team. Like, Jatavian Sanders has shown some life. He's shown some things we're excited about. The targets have gone up for little stretches of time. But yeah, Mark Andrews is the best player in this deal, and is in a vacuum, I would take the Mark Andrews set.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, we said buy the Panthers, but I still think that's a lot of wishful thinking so far with Jatavian Sanders, that you're going to get that level of production from Mark Andrews. And here's some context. He currently has McBride, TJ Hawkinson, Eric All, Taysom Hill. So he has McBride and Hawkinson. Noah Gray. That's a thing.
That's important.
Thought I'd get younger. Second round pick currently is a 204. So that's actually some better context.
Then why don't you get a receiver that you're actually going to put into your lineup instead of Jatavian Sanders that you're going to look at and hope he turns into something as you start Trey McBride for the next 10 years.
Yep. Completely agree.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, that's it, folks. Love you guys. As always, I'm Jagger May. That's Jeff Bell. And that's Mike Cash. We'll have him around here more often. And we will see you guys on the next one.